This is looking pretty raw. It's like uncooked beef at this point, Blank. It is not what you want, mate. One by one, just getting finished off a little bit here for Alter Ego. They've had such a rough couple days in opening drops. And again, you know, it does really feel like everyone's sort of passed the word around that Alter Ego is the easier team to bully on these drops, Blank. It just keeps happening.
Yeah.
Sort of
I mean,
pass
you
the
make
word
yourself
around that
an
Alter
easy
Ego is the
target and
easier
teams
team
will
to
want
bully
those
on
points
these
off from
drops,
you.
Blank.
And
It
you
just
don't
keeps
make those
happening.
adjustments.
Sort
I
of
mean,
pass the
you make
word
yourself
around
an
that
easy
Alter Ego is the
target.
easier
Max, man.
team to bully on these
Very
drops,
stupid.
Blank.
Like,
It
you
just
don't
keeps
max up
happening.
that little.
Sort
I
of
mean,
pass the
you
word
make
around
yourself
that
an
Alter
easy
Ego is the
target. You
easier.
know, Enigma Galaxy as you dropping towards Pachinki, the Xavier over in Group Green refused to give up Pachinki whatsoever. They kept dropping there every single time, even on hot drops. But this time around, they drop over towards Severny. They give it up. This is the first time they've never dropped there. And I think for the Xavier, this is actually a really, really important little tidbit to go off the top of, because I like this maneuver. You drop towards Pachinki versus Enigma Galaxy. You know this is a strong team, but right now you're currently third place, 53 points. Consistency, it can be afforded now. So a Severny drop for DXavier when it's open, completely reasonable, I would say, to go for this team. They know they can get further into the map. They know that they're strong holding in that mid game and then trying to take out teams towards that late game as well with a little bit of sweeping from the high grounds. So I think this is a really good move from DXavier, and again kind of feeds into that storyline as if you made those points happen in that first day, you have a lot of room to switch up tactics, to switch up strategies. You know, if this is a case that DXavier would be on like 15, 19 points, they might have considered dropping over towards Pachinki and just trying to push it to the limit down there versus Enigma Galaxy, trying to win out on that hot drop and then going out from there, because those 4 eliminations would be very nice. And you can't really fear that fact of what if we lose the hot drop. You just have to go and think to yourself, we're going to win this hot drop, we're going to move from there, we'll take that central position and give us some really good rotational paths into the late game. Everyone else in this lobby is just going to get trounced by us. You just have to think that you're a much larger team than you actually are.
Yeah, you've got to embody the stature, right? Make it, you know, look like it's hard for you to fit through doorways, that kind of stuff. Build the confidence up by making yourself feel bigger than you are. And that was what they did. I mean, even back in Group Green, right? It was kind of them versus Bra was just like the battle of Pachinki every single time, Blank. And DX were willing to fight those down to the bitter end, you know, limping away with one player left if they needed to, or even conceding basically an entire run on one of our games of Erangel just to guarantee that drop. So I like the fact that they've at least moved away from that here and kind of thought, all right, we really did risk it, you know, back then. Now it's a little bit of a different kettle of fish. Let's not go for those sort of plays. So good to see the improvement there and the adjustment as well, to be willing to even give up your normal confident drop. Man, drop is a word that is synonymous with Alter Ego at the minute, though, as every time we look towards the Elim feed, it feels like it's Rosemary that's just taking bullets from miles away. It's so unfortunate for AE for the way these games have been going. But again, here, they're just exposed. You've got a line of sight. MBE just keep putting the pressure on and Blank.
Yeah, I think for Alter Ego at this point in time, it's just not looking good, right? And I think we said this multiple times at this point. There had to be a change coming today. Kalaris gave some really good points. There's some very risky rotations. I think this one in particular was a risky drop as well. I think you can go for risky drops where they provide you a bit more of an idea of actually getting further into the game. But when you're dropping over towards Mansion and then split dropping in Lepovka as well, and you know that Procedure dropped towards Yasnaya, MBE Sports drop around this location as well, you're sort of playing with fire at that point in time. You know, there is just an opportunity to, look, give up on the scouting early on. We have a very good read on where most of these teams move in from, just from watching a lot of the other games that have happened throughout the group stage. Let's just go for a 4-man push over towards Lepovka. We'll split out. We'll try and sweep up towards the top side of Kameshki and move down from there. There's a lot of good little pit stops along the way on that side of the map. So for Alter Ego, again, a risky drop, which I don't think was particularly necessary here. The Xavier, kind of expected from them. Move up towards northern side, take the high ground control, and play off the back of that one. So I like this from DXavier indeed. Mad Bulls also find themselves on the northern side of Yasnaya. Very nice little quick rotate from them, and a very hard shift over towards the eastern side, encompassing a lot of water in this one as well. So if teams want to get their feet wet, they certainly can if they want to live out this game a little bit longer. But for most teams, it's going to be either trying to sweep on this northern side or trying to hold towards some of these compounds on the edge. It's kind of a difficult position to play in. Some teams will be afforded some great spots early on if they were able to get here quick enough, but some teams on this outer edge will be struggling to find themselves a home.
Yeah, man, this is one that's setting up to potentially be a bit of a community swimming pool circle if it keeps up like this. About 40% water at the minute, so landmass really going to be important to lay claim to early. Try and set yourself up as quick as physically possible and don't leave it up to another squad to already claim all of the compounds. The mass migrations are coming through. You can see everyone starting to make their rotate down towards the zone, trying to get there as quick as physically possible. Bit of contact on some of the players that are playing slightly more defensive as well inside of the compounds, just listening out for where everyone's heading. Mad Bulls stopping for a quick pit adjustment. Meanwhile, we've got the pull-up from Alliance down towards the compound of Rejects, and that nade was tasty, Blank. That was a 3-pointer straight onto the head of Osia.
Yeah, certainly painful. In the meantime, Inco is getting picked up by Enigma Galaxy. That's on the south side right now. Both teams were rotating in, so some pretty decent shots, I assume, were being made from inside the vehicle itself. Very much a turret going through right now from Enigma Galaxy, all in one vehicle. Slightly dangerous, but it's worked out for them so far, with Inco taking one knock and a flush off the back of that. In the meantime, Malise Esports situate themselves all the way over towards Lipovka, try and keep themselves as safe as possible. Alter Ego regroup on the coastal side towards the east with 3 players, but surrounded by an N-Hyper as well as the Mad Bulls, who have picked up what I think is one of my favorite positions within the circus, a really nice ridge side that you can play from over on this eastern edge, and keeps you very clear. You do have to worry about some of the teams on the eastern side. See right now, Enigma Galaxy just cannot find anywhere to stay. And this is what I'm talking about. If you come out on the edge here,
你猜一下，中国智商税第1重灾区在哪儿呢？哎，有一种杀猪盘，不止收割于你无形，而且直接把你一家3代打包割韭菜。重要的是，你还毫无察觉，是啥呢？生娃养娃。说实话，我见过各种资本骗局啊，但还从。
你不左转去哪？
你别管我干！
你又去哪？不是执行吗？
白亮，你别管我干！
差点被你带着逆，你们都是高手。
Still driving for a parking spot in a never-ending garage, and there will never be a parking spot, Blank, because everyone is already set up with guns, using these parking spots as compounds to play in.
Yeah, and they won't be leaving anytime soon, so you're not getting that middle space. I'm sorry about that. In the meantime, we do get a circle that moves down towards that south side, in which case Reject and You-Do Alliance's compounds become very, very valuable indeed. So for You-Do Alliance, currently they do have the strongest spot, which is up on high. Reject slightly safer in terms of the fact they can just sort of sit in this compound for a while. You know that You-Do Alliance, with them being in this compound, they're not likely to move anytime soon, so they don't want to expend too many grenades just sending them down over towards Reject. So Reject have this outpost which is guarded by You-Do Alliance. Eventually they are likely gonna have to fight against one another, but both teams in this sort of mutual agreement at the moment.
Malise as well, hitting a nice shot across onto Freak and dropping the man. So the situation still just going from bad to worse. Second, constantly taking damage and feeling uncomfortable, just playing out in the open, exposed to the elements at this point. Reject Tokyo firing off the warning shots. FaZe on the move as well. Round the side of the ridge, contact from inside of the building. Ifan spitting bullets at him, seeing if he can keep the pressure on. Mormon going to dash back with a couple of smokes as well, at least provide some protection. Koi's got the range on it, trying to debate whether or not he wants to engage on this one. If he can hit the shots with such substantial drop, battle back as well. FaZe constantly just taking damage from either side now. A lot of HP being licked off them as well. So this could start getting a bit rough for FaZe, Blank, if they can't find a way to calm this one down.
Yeah, and Hyper has got so many angles on you. GK first over towards the shack right now. Xifan taking shots from inside the building. FaZe have sort of set themselves up in a pretty horrid scenario right now for themselves. Hyper looking to potentially regroup, but again, GK first comes in with another clutch shot over towards Mela, in which case they might just send towards this. The blue is pushing them in, and an opening knock like that is absolutely gorgeous for them.
First one's what you want. How many more are in store for them? Be a nice way to reality check FaZe straight away, man, off the back of their chicken dinner as well, if you could pull them down here.
I don't know why GK keeps going for these shots, to be honest. So greedy. Looking to finish off Melee. You can kind of understand why he's going for it, though. You don't want to let that player live. They are able to finally flush him out, but two players out in the blue right now, and FaZe currently have pretty good shooting angles over towards them. Koi luckily does find another on Mormon. He's so close and personal, taking a lot of shots. There's not a lot of support coming through. Vintorez understands that he too needs to get a move on, and quite quickly with the circle moving in. Very, very quick movements all around the block for Hyper, but this has been a sort of a crazy push from Hyper, locking both FaZe and them to
I don't mind being watched. I like the spotlight. What inspires you?
Play zone itself. This
True.
has been a very,
Love.
very odd fight. Gladiators
She's Serenity.
maybe get themselves
What are you still
slightly
searching
involved.
for?
She fell inside the building, and then
Community.
Hyper actually indeed go down. Mormon as well as Vintorez might be able to continue, and that felt like one of the weirdest fights coming through from Hyper. Indeed, I didn't like that whatsoever. Felt like almost a guaranteed hold up towards the south side, just given up by some odd angles.
Yeah, it really does feel like they've kind of both dragged themselves down. You know, we've no potential really successful outcome for either team in that situation. Very aggressive, a very tunnel vision in the way that they played it. So both squads basically being destroyed because of it. I mean, yeah, sure, FaZe still has presence at least, but
一场散去，二场来。
I guess FaZe were in
换个
fact
彩
just
头戏连开，彩头记在了人头上。
这些那些聪明了，是个大爷了。兄弟好身手啊，什么功夫啊？
弹指拨弄，戏法而已。审判你，还轮不到这些逼。解放主将。
player from FaZe coming through, maybe a bit better position where the procedure EVOS is though. But you look at the layout now, over towards
听说金腰带让人给做了，
most teams you can see situated on the
说像是变戏法，就这么一划，伸手分家。就是江湖传言中那个阎王窟。哎，是他。
所以啊，要跟紧金房主，有他罩着不会有事。
back of it. There's going to have to be some good nades, and Kitsune does not spot the player off towards his left.
Ooh, Kitsune engaging with the nades early, looking for the jump down. He was ready for that one, Blank. Instantly spots Redface, and will leave him quite red in the face after that uppercut from the DBS. Zerich from absolutely miles away, looking to get involved with this fight where possible, scanning the hillside with his eyes and keeping a nice understanding of the situation. Meanwhile, here we see MBE starting to dive in, an assault inside of the compound. Bullet after bullet, whizzing close close by. NASA now re-aggressing as well, looking to try and push their way back through. Spam up close. Fist Boy needs to land an uppercut. Not looking too good for him though, as he'll go down to the spray. How on earth is he still alive with a trickle of HP blank? It felt like he was trying to 1v4 that with nothing to his name.
I mean, Xenox did an incredible job there, but his quest coming in over towards Reject. They're holding on as best they can, and the crash is just not working out. Luther immediately gets inside. They want to keep hold of all 4 members here. They know they've got a strong position to be working with. Duello moves in, tries to clear out the player, but he gets a nice little sideswipe back in towards the door. Finally, it's over, as Tixi will pick up an elimination over towards Fahidan. But 6 eliminations for Gladiators. Once again, a pretty decent result for this squad. They'll have to push on through, potentially third partying down towards his position on Reject could be a good idea, but even Meku still putting on the hurt versus Inko, holding on whilst Kitsune scouts towards the western side of the circle. This is far, far better for Gladiators so far. You can tell the teamwork is here. Yesterday they just felt so disjointed.
They're just fighting as well, Blank. I think that's the one big difference, right? Is we're seeing them play so confidently now where they're actually pulling up, looking like they're going into these engagements with the idea being to win them, with the idea being to get elims. Whereas yesterday, it felt a bit timid. It felt like they were playing inside of a box and kind of waiting for teams to come towards them. So I'm glad to see it. Definitely a much needed facelift for Gladiators, looking a lot more like the side that we like to see, at least. A lot of movement going on now as well. Bit of reshuffling. There's a ton of commotion down here. So everyone's kind of ringing the proverbial dinner bell, if you will. And it started to bait in the rotators, the mandem that want to pull up and try and squirrel away some of the points. So let's see if that'll be a potential outcome here. Roadside shenanigans for NBE. Meanwhile, Melise engaging on Origo. That was big, Blank. Nice nade to open it up.
Yeah, an absolute chunky nade as well. Kisyu looks for another, sends it in, but Origo is tucked away just for the time being. Smoke's been dropped down by Melise Esports. They don't want to get caught off on the side here. In the meantime, Becker on his lonesome trying to take down the rest of DX Xavier. Does find at least Levi's here, which is fairly impressive indeed. CEO later off in the wings, looking to see if he could spot any of the players here in Lipovka. Alter Ego, they drop in Lipovka itself. This is where they've resided for a very, very long time now, looking to potentially get a little bit more out of it. But Melise have them surrounded. Reject once again, surviving their position, will have to move forward. They know that UDO Alliance are behind them.
UDO, what can they do in a spot like this, playing on a hillside? Flax adjusting the crosshair, paranoid about the smoke expiring to his left, but wants to prioritize the correct angle, hoping they can get some shots off onto Reject. Once they expose themselves, they've got a 3-pronged smoke wall blocking themselves at the minute, with the tree geometry providing a bit of cover as well. Slowly pushing their way up past the bushes now, as Lufa will jump in the rotate car. Oh, should have got info on that as well as he drove up. Seems like he knows he could be peeked from the ridge side. So we'll smoke that off and try and cover himself. Clark's up top, Blank. Man's got the DMR as well to work with potentially here. Seems like it's the shotgun also. Nice little DBS for close range engagements. And nades to boot. That could be a bit of a banger. Seems like it should be on target, but slightly off the mark.
Yeah, you really need an airburst here, but a nice shot comes through, and I think that's from MBE Sports actually over towards UDO Alliance. The Gladiators continue to lose members. Squash finally does go down off in the distance. And the circle does center up and confirm up towards Lipovka. So any team that made that decision early is happy about it. But look at this. UDO Alliance is losing members left and right, but the drop shot will at least keep them alive for a little bit longer. But the drop shot just ends up with them being dropped themselves. UDO Alliance out and Reject up to 5 eliminations. A very different face on this team, looking more Oni-esque today. Demonic coming through from Reject.
This is more what we wanted, right? You're raising hell a little bit now. They're getting stuck into the game, Blank, not playing as timid, fighting when necessary, trying to play towards center, contesting for edge control when needed. It's better from Reject, but they've got to maintain that, keep that course going. Don't let it drop off now, as they do at least find their way through the test of UDO and control that one. NBE keep popping up all over the shop. It feels like NBE have just been running back and forth, trying to stay stay alive from this roadside, having little moments of chip damage onto anyone that peeks into them. They're still here for now, just in front of Rejects. They're exposed if they go for a bit of a push. They're just using the smokes to hold themselves for now, but Zara is engaging with it. It's a nice first nade. Got the lineup on the second as well, Blank. The nades alone could be enough to deal with them.
Man, the long arm on Sarah is looking good, but nasty shots coming in from Nakaze through the smoke, takes down a fair few of them. Now Duello left to challenge versus Nakaze off in the distance. Nice shot on the edge, but quickly cleans them all up. And what a clean finish there from Nakaze at the end. It looked like it was all done and dusted for the squad, but fantastically well held out by Nakaze. Gladiators still at 4 players alive, but one of the final teams to be on this Northern Edge alongside them and NBE Sports. Mad Bulls up to 5 eliminations, Gladiators up to 8. They're doing good here. You asked about a bit of a repeat. We even heard about the dinner bell, and so far Gladiators have been hitting us with some nice mashed rotators at the moment. These rotates have been clean.
Whatever they're cooking up today, Blank, it looks like it is fresh, not frozen. Nothing being reused here. Ooh, turning up the heat, though, as the kitchen metaphor continues. Have to get out of that one. Melise set ablaze, couldn't handle it. Kiss You dropped, as the M4 will give him the damage. Business being done. Mad Bulls close by as well. They can start to breach and clear. Take the players out that are inside of these buildings now, but Frozen crumbles. He cracks under the pressure on the contact. And it's all getting a little bit sheepish. Constant damage being fired out by Gladiators, sure, but no one wanting to make the first mistake. You have such a sheer number of squads all close, shoulder to shoulder inside of these compounds, with only Gladiators being able to complete the push down towards the beach side. They're in a pretty dream spot right now, and it's going to be so much harder for this heat map of teams we can see all on top of each other inside of the neighborhood. A nasty neighborhood, Blank. They're not friendly neighbors.
Not at all. Everyone's just leaving some horrid messages on one another's doors right now. People just aren't picking up the newspaper. They're turning the Amazon delivery guy away. They will not be handing that through the post box to their next door neighbor at all. But for Gladiators, what an incredible circle for them. Moves up towards this north side, and they've had direct contact with a lot of these teams on the southern edge. What's great about this rotate from Gladiators as well is that they forced out the Mad Bulls from this position just with sheer firepower. Up to 9 eliminations, set 50 points after the back of this game, just around about 18 points behind Mad Bulls, who we know had a great day yesterday. This has been very, very good stuff from the Gladiators, and again, it's that pressure off in that first game that allows you to succeed later on. They're moving in over towards NBE Sports. Sec, barely any HP. The vehicle flies over the top, and Tixie's there on a Kaze. He's quickly put down, and NBE Sports is out. Oh my goodness me, Gladiators are fighting.
What are we watching, Blank? Is this a Michael Bay movie? Because that was a blockbuster. They come flying through the air, hit the griddy on that one as the shot connects mid-movement, and then they just continue on as well. This is ridiculous. Meku and Kitsune just putting bullets down range, Blank. They are farming.
This was a great move from Meku as well, mate. They left him behind on the side swipe just in case anyone was between the trees. Likely Meku's going to be a sacrifice in this situation, but he's got great lines of sight over towards Duxan, providing very, very difficult terrain for Duxan to deal with. They step out of the way of the bullets from Kitsune as well as Tixie and Matic. They step directly into the bullets from Meku, who's very much safe on this outer edge. Luckily, Zipian is able to get some shots back over towards Kitsune, but it's just Meku and Tixie lighting them up.
They're the Hydra right now, Blank. It feels like if you sever one head, 2 more will grow back in its place. That's what Gladiators are doing right now. A single knock results in them finding 2 elims, or the elims could keep on coming as well, but maybe it'll go in favor of Mad Bulls as Alter Ego wanted to try an ego challenge, but they go down quick. They've got cinder block shoes on that one as Melise third party and Mad Bulls hold on to their compound. Gladiators, though, still showing that they're handy with the sharpened steel, slicing their way through anyone that peeks into them. Now just pushing up the road to close down these and make sure these eliminations are theirs for good, Blank.
Yeah, Tixie flies over towards that position, has the M4 in hand. Lovely nade over the top as well. Finds Hoxie. Now just Binny in the back here. Another nade flies over the top. Nice little Molotov. Will shoot underneath the vehicle. Has eyes on. Just needs to hit these shots now, but is sort of being cut off by the fire, by the smoke. Stands up to try and hit this one. The step out is there, and Tixie gets taken down. Meku left remaining for the squad, but honestly, with the amount of damage that Gladiator's been able to do, they've just been looking for those eliminations. We talked about this early on as well, Jackie, in the sense that eliminations desperately what you need. This is what you can confirm in these games. This is what you know you can handle, and I appreciate that they're just fighting for them.
Exactly. It's the one part that you can control just by playing aggressive, playing confidently, and guaranteeing those eliminations. And that's what they've done. They've played for the elims here. Now they can try and see what they can squeeze out in terms of placement, because the other teams are doing the infighting for them. And it's whittled us down to only 2 players. Really, you've got to worry about. Oh man, Mad Balls licking their lips at the prospect of this one. They do find Meku. He's exposed himself from behind the rock. Now it's simple pickings. As long as Mad Balls could reset, you do have an edge. The battle of attrition is in your camp. They're setting themselves up for a chicken dinner, but Zerich will expire.
For Duxan, this is going to be a very, very important game for them. You know, 3 eliminations, it's not ideal. You go out this with a second place, 6 points, 9 points total. It doesn't feel great, but if you're able to get your chicken dinner off the back of this in a 2v3, you know, 13 points on this match feels really decent coming into the rest of the day. And with the blue pushing in, it is very, very ideal for them, but the Mad Balls just look so absolutely clean today. They looked it yesterday as well, and they picked themselves up yet another chicken dinner. That is 3 in the space of 2 days.
That's huge from Mad Balls. A complete change of pace from what we were seeing from them, looking an awful lot better. And also now, Blank, it goes back to our point about the fact that you don't want to leave it up to another team to decide your fate in the survival stage. You want to make as many points as possible in the limited number of games you have to play. And that's what Mad Balls are doing in droves.
Yeah, it's a stressful game for Mad Balls as well. Not an easy one. You can see that they're not super excited about this because it's more of a relief than anything they're able to pull off that chicken dinner. Playing within Lipovka, there was so much infighting in that area, getting forced out by the Gladiators. I think it was a very wise move for them to actually just send across from the rock side in the water toward those buildings. Yes, they had to fight for it versus Malise Esports, but they were confident to do that, and it sort of gave them that winning position. I think things got dicey as soon as they started to see the circle move towards the north side. Like, have we made a mistake? Did we make the right call here? But you just got to follow through. 44,000 kilometers travel for Gladiators once again. These rotates are coming through quicker. They're more confident with them. I don't know what happened between the space of yesterday and today, but there has been some serious conversations between these lads on the team.
Something's happened, you know. I don't know if it happened at the hotel breakfast or where it was, but it seems like Gladiators have got their heads screwed back on, and they're playing some really nice PUBG Mobile today, Blank. You know, this is exactly what we wanted to see in terms of them giving us a good game, showing us they deserve the invite in the first place and that they're able to make some moves here. What more will be in store for us though, and can they keep it up? We'll find out. Let's get back to the desk with the #1 Gladiators fan. It's Jason Kaplan.
Sorry, I think Jackie misspoke there. Mixspoke. That's the #1 Gladiator fan ever. But we have to say, it wouldn't be Gladiators if they didn't show up exactly when they needed to kind of advance on through in an event. And hey, you know, credit to them, another massive game for them in terms of eliminations, great positioning as well. They were able to crash an NBA Esports and kind of do the exact same thing, just the other way around from the prior match. But also, Mad Bulls, man, like, there's so many things to talk about. Oh, you know what? We're not gonna talk. No, let's do it. Maxman talked about Gladiators, and then we'll hop to what I have ready for Colaris.
Okay, Jason McSpoke. But okay, Gladiators. I didn't want to talk about them because I didn't want to curse them, Jason. Okay, that was the reason behind it. Now I see. Okay, but but right now, Gladiators, of course, playing that high ground position, able to leapfrog in the position that Mad Balls left open after they regrouped from that 2-2 split was a really good spot. And also, one thing I enjoyed Colaris from Gladiators is they tried to go for that high ground on the road. They tried to fight end Best. They tried to also fight Duxan, which ended up not working out. But I think that if you're not in the city, you want to avoid a lot of that fight happening in Lipovka. Going for that high ground does give you a bit of an advantage. It didn't quite work out because Duxan had such a good angle, but I think that was going to be a game-winning play if they could survive until the later stage.
Honestly, yeah, go on.
No, you go on.
I was going doolally in this game, if I'm honest, Jason. I was going crazy because how often do you see a basically close to Lipovka end like this? And for teams to try and manage their way through that, as you say, with Gladiators doing really well in terms of the eliminations and then going to the west for the rotate to try and make this work. Never mind, Mad Bull's winning off a 2-2 split across the rocks of north of Lipovka and in Lipovka. Where do you begin? There's so much to talk about.
Well, obviously the smoke wall that Maxman brought up while we saw Mad Bull was able to transition with the PL smoke wall, as he coined it, to get through safely was something to be seen. But if we're talking about how teams got into Lipovka, let's also mention Alter Ego, Kalaris.
Oh.
Do it! Come on.
What are they doing? All right.
You got really close to the mic there.
I got really close to the mic. Okay, they're the Lipovka dropping team. Where were they? Okay, they moved west, right? They got lost one to heaven as they were walking through to heaven, which is ridiculous. And then they moved north, and then they have to swim all the way back to Lipovka. They are lost at present. They are taking, I said it before this game, constantly taking risks here in PUBG Mobile. They're playing a very risky style. They've got splits. They're walking where they shouldn't be, going where they shouldn't be. And eventually, yes, they salvage this, but only because teams that had track of them swimming probably was Pasija, but they got kind of rocked up on Gladiators and kind of lost in the mix. So they were allowed to come back up on the shore of Lipovka. Am I taking crazy pills? Anyway, yeah,
lost him.
I'm done.
Well, not to mention, you also pointed out, too, when we were watching, that Gladiators is probably the only team that could see them rock up on the beach, but they were about at that 400-meter distance mark away, so potentially not seeing them. Obviously, Melise was in Lipovka, potentially not looking towards them, and we even saw Kissu like, wait, what are you guys doing in that building? How did you guys even get here?
Yeah.
He's going mad. I've never seen him like this.
Melise was like, who is he? What's going on next door? And suddenly, they were just... Anyway, I'm done.
You know what? You know what, Kalaris? You need to cool down by playing some of the Frost Festival currently going on within PUBG Mobile. You can revel in the exhilaration of gliding down the slopes in a snowboard and using snow mounts like X-Men talked about yesterday, potentially turning people into snowmen as well. Make sure you guys load up PUBG Mobile, download the new update, and participate and play. Because also while you're playing, we do have the 2023 Popularity Annual Gala happening with PUBG Mobile introducing a brand new competition, exclusive honorable rewards for you guys at home to participate and win. It's all kicking off between November 15th and December 15th, so make sure you guys are getting into the game and potentially able to win some rewards you can show off to your friends. Also, while you're playing in this one, don't forget about the Pagani collaboration happening within PUBG Mobile as well. You can rub the engine with the iconic Pagani Amola and Zonda R models, which I believe, Kalaris, are you ready to be salesman yet again? Tell us the
740 brake horsepower. You got a V12 engine as well as 710 Newton meters of torque, Jason. It's a car for you, but it's very expensive in real life.
Well, my question is, can I fit in the car? Because we all know I'm extremely tall.
Probably you cannot, actually. You're probably too tall.
Okay, well, that's a shame. Maybe we can get special order one and make one for me. And also, the last but not least, before we head to a break here, the new RP-A4 Victory Dance, which is available now. You guys can show off your victories with the PMGC vibe and also use your Victory Dance to cheer for your favorite PUBG Mobile team. And we all know who people are voting for. Max is all aboard the Gladiator train, but we have to wait till that train takes off after the side of a short break. Well, Max, I know how you are the biggest fan of Gladiators, but luckily for you, we don't have to talk about them too much more because it looks like with the points they've gotten these last 2 matches alone, that should almost guarantee them a safe position into our last chance. However, it does get easier from there. Keep in mind, it's only 16 teams advancing from this into that, and it's only 5 teams advancing from the last chance to get back into the PMGC Grand Final. So a lot of work to come for the Gladiators and obviously a lot of other teams out there. But as we are about to head into our second Erangel, my question is this. Kalaris, Alter Ego, are we going to see a word rotation again?
Maybe. I think it depends on the playing path. I think they're probably going to... If the playing path doesn't favor Lipovka, I think they're going to try and go for cars and maybe fight someone. We'll see.
Okay. Well, thank you for your contribution here, Max. Ben, we're going to head over to our commentators to kick off our second Arrow of the day, Jackie and Blake.
It's interesting because Max always just makes such thought-provoking points blank. It feels hard to kind of, even regurgitate what he said as it's just so big-brained.
Yeah, you can't quite, grasp it a lot of times, and you do need to watch it back a few times afterwards and just really get the notes in there, understand what's going on. But I'll have to do that after the show, I think, as well, really.
Well, it was a big segment. It was a big segment.
Yeah.
We don't have time right now to... I'd have to get out the notepad.
We can't break
some
it down.
highlighters.
Yeah.
No, it's just not possible. It's just not possible. But obviously, Jason just said Gladiators will win, so I get where he's coming from.
Yeah. That was very clear that Jason said that Gladiators would win again. It's definitely going to be a Gladiators first place chicken dinner on this one. I think they're just playing out of their minds right now. I don't know what's gotten into them. What's quite frustrating about this, though, is that they're getting some flashbacks to last year a little bit, where they made it past the survival stage into last chance and then got pipped at the post over towards 5th place. And I don't want all the thunder to come now. I would quite like some of it to be reserved, keep a little bit of that lightning in a bottle for the last chance phase. But again, they've just started stepping up now. I don't know what I'm talking about, really. Keep going, I guess, for the time being.
I do like the idea that you've gone, okay, well, look, you're doing pretty well right now. Let's slow that down.
Slow it down.
Look, if you get too big for your boots and set the bar too high, you're not going to make it there again. And they're like, this is interesting. You are right.
The thing is, we have such an intimate relationship with this team because we commentate them all the time right over in EU. So we sort of know their tendencies. They can be a frustrating squad to watch a lot of times. But there are a lot of...
confusing.
Yeah, it is confusing. There are a lot of other great teams in this lobby so far at the moment. I mean, Reject have certainly started to pump things up just a little bit. I don't think we're quite at, Reject levels of Group Green so far, but we're definitely getting there. And I mean, it all came from that simple interview that Sarah gave, which was literally the most base thing he could have done, which was, we're not going center enough. And then they went center and won a bunch of games. They're doing that again here. It seems to be working reasonably well too. So I think that they've just kind of shedded that mentality of like, it's not going too hot for us right now. Let's just go center. We'll just play our game and see what happens. And I think that's what a lot of teams are starting to do now, which is really, really good to see. You have to get out your own head here, especially if anyone who's in Group Green right now in this last chance scenario. You just have to play out these matches. I was going to touch on Alter Ego. I'm not gonna. It's tainted, unfortunately. I would have loved to have seen that team do a lot better, but we'll wait. We'll wait and see.
We'll see how things lie at the end, right? Because I think we've kind of beaten the horse on that one, really, in the way the games.
They've already been beaten.
That's what I mean, but it's just not worth it. But it is a shame. I do agree with you in that sense, where it feels like, especially for sort of the storyline and the narrative as well, with like the interview we had with Rosemary way back on, I believe, day one of the entire event, and how they were looking like they were playing. I was expecting a landfall for him, Blank. I was expecting it to go well and for him to go from strength to strength. But they were definitely struggling today. What have they got up the chops? Anything hidden? Anything else? Maybe we'll see. If it's going to come out, this is probably the best time to do it, right? You're kind of leaving yourself with very limited chances. We've got 3 games, this Erangel and then 2 Miramars, and basically preceding that, that's the end for you to actually accumulate any points. You're just leaving it in the hands of other teams. So We'll find out. We'll see where we're going with it. Mad Bull's been looking a lot better, though, Blank. It's been fun to watch Mad Bulls, which is nice to say. Even if they don't look exactly ecstatic every time we see him on camera. Tulicker, honestly, didn't look too pleased with his win, but I think that was mostly just like stress and relief of going, okay, we needed it. At least we have a win.
Yeah.
You know, if they can just keep that up, that's probably the ideal scenario. But they need to drop that stress. They did seem a bit on edge.
Yeah, come on. We need to get the team masseuse in, right? You know, massage those worries away, because right now I do think they should be a little bit more elated than they actually are. I know that sounds crazy. I have just said in a different manner, be happier, which isn't always as easy as it sounds a lot of times, as we know. And I think for Mad Bulls, realistically, they're doing really well. And I think they should be proud of themselves so far. I think they also understand that they need to keep a little bit of lightning in the bottle saved away for that last chance phase. Right now, I think they should be very pleased with where they've placed. They're currently in first. Obviously, Influence Rage still has another day to play. And I think, all things considered, by the end of it, Influence Rage will be on top in terms of the standings. But Mad Bulls certainly done more than enough to secure their position at this point. The rest of these games now, for them, it should just be study, right? Maintain this kind of play style, maintain this kind of pressure on the rest of the squads, because more than likely you are going to have to play against quite a few of these teams again in the last chance. So the more they can stake their claim on positions around the map, the more they can stake their claim on these rotations and be a team that some of these other squads may be a little bit scared to run into. You do have that small advantage in the last chance where you have that kind of don't mess with me factor.
Don't mess with me. God, it's like a late night walk home, Blank. And you're like, what? Do you not want to mess with that man? I mean, that's a good vibe to give off, you know. It definitely would increase your protection a bit.
It is true, yeah. I mean, I just say it to myself as I'm walking down the street sometimes. That's how it works.
Don't mess with me.
Don't mess with me. People are like,
the idea
Daddy, that guy's talking to himself.
That's what I mean. Just muttering under your breath. Don't mess with me, mate. Don't mess with me.
Yeah.
People just walking by. Excuse me, sir. Do you need help? Don't mess with me.
Don't mess with
All
me.
right.
Yeah, it's less that I'm giving off hard man vibes and more that I'm giving off that I need to be in an asylum vibes. Which isn't ideal, but it seems to work.
Hey, look, to each their own, Blank. You know, unorthodox strategies do seem to work best. If your enemy can't prepare for it, you know, how can you? I suppose. Yeah. In some way, that's a sentence.
He's done a 720 kickflip roundhouse. Oh my lord! Let's see that coming. The standard is a 360.
Yeah, this is wild. Look at the man doing ollies in the car.
That's illegal.
Right, put the skateboards down.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
We need to get back in the game here, and some of these teams definitely need to get a rolling. Certainly towards that bottom side of the lobby, we're looking at N-Hyper, You-Do Alliance. Nigma Galaxy sort of are disappointing us so far, I would say. And I mean, they're on our screens right now. Regiocio will take down Lord from Nigma Galaxy. And again, they keep just hemorrhaging members, I would say, on their rotates. You know what? I didn't actually get to talk about this last game, but I will talk about it now, is that some of their rotates feel extremely greedy. I think that last match, most of the teams on that south side realized that, look, if we're on the edge already, I mean, they were rotating in from, what was it, Milta. They were battling out versus Inco early on. I think in that case, you just have to slow push your way in towards the circle. You're potentially not going to get a high placing off the back of this, but they could have easily taken up where Duxan was playing. Remember, Duxan got themselves a second place. Decent, good stuff. Yet they just drove around in that one vehicle, dropped out for a second one, lost Coops in the process, kept driving around to try and find another central position. And I think at that point, you just have to realize that this is not working out. Teams aren't just going to let you free roam anymore.
No, it did feel like one of those where, you know, you're kind of thinking, you've thrown that away a little bit. You know, you did have a potential to try and see what you could actually get out of the game. Whereas instead, I agree with you, the rotation was a little bit careless, and potentially even just the idea to jump out at that point. You know, you're only going to delay yourself even more in terms of like the startup time for the vehicle to actually get away, right? And it just meant they went from a 4, stuck in a very small camper van, to a 3, still sharing just the one small camper van. Wasn't ideal. A couple of pot shots been going out here, though. We've seen a little bit of damage coming across. Mad Balls have suffered one knock as well, so at least they're seeing what they can do to patch up the situation. Here's one for you as well, Blank. When we saw that first knock, it was Raging OCO in the car, and he bonneted someone. Call that Road Rage OCO.
Oh, yes. I like that. Yeah, go on. We love to see it. He was doing an ollie in the car over his head. It was good stuff. We enjoyed it. We love to see it. For Reject, not quite towards the central right now, but a single elimination, that'll do the trick. They'll be happy, pleased with that one. DX Xavier also pretty pleased with their position up towards Severny, right? You know, they don't drop Pachinki, but they get themselves a fairly good position to work their way out from. They've got a lot of positions they're currently holding on to. Now, DX Xavier, typical rotational path up towards this northeast side. So for them, again, we'll be going for something like that. Gladiators are just cutting straight through them, though. A bit of a dangerous push, I would say. I mean, you still have Tixi and Matic on the backside here with Kitsune and Meku going for this scout early on. You can see them starting to get a little bit squeezed here by the hydraulic press of teams, and the rest of the squad just is nowhere near to support. This is a greedy rotate, and I think for anyone in this location, I would be trying to spot out some of these stragglers, trying to take pot shots towards them as they move through. Again, Ralph out of the vehicle, taken down by Nasa. This is very bad news bears right now for Enigma Galaxy, and I think this is something that we saw over towards their group stage as well, is that at the start, doing great. You know, happy days for Enigma Galaxy. Some strong rotations were coming through for this team. However, when you looked at them further in towards the group, their rotations were getting read so easily, time and time again. I think that's the final player from Enigma Galaxy about to go down soon, but Reject taking a lot of knocks of their own. Gladiators barely surviving themselves. Good amount of damage. Meku's on the side. Swan tries to swing out. Lovely nade. Will take down Meku, and now it's just Matic to try and hold down the door.
Well, that's a nice trade, actually. And he's played it smart. He set himself up so that he could try and nade. I thought he was going to get the first off on Meku with it, but instead engages towards Matic. Matic's basically as good as gone here. No HP, nothing to defend himself with. All off the back of Cluck's nades there. So nice retake on the compound. That was smart in the way he used his utility. And that's unlucky for the Gladiators. So Jason Kaplan's prediction there not coming true, Blank, because they've gone down without a single elim on that one. Got a bit too big for their boots.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But they've slowed it down, as I asked them to. Well done. You know, this is more the Gladiators we're used to. You know, going down in the first two stages. That's great. Brilliant. Now, do something a little bit more next game. Maybe revert back to, you know, making not the greatest rotations. To be fair, that wasn't bad by any stretch of the word. I quite liked it. Unfortunately for them, I think you make that rotation a little bit too late. You've got players that are not quite on with the vibe there in the backside with Matic and Tixi, who are not up front and personal with Kitsune and Meku. And you just get shot at by teams on the side trying to get in towards that warehouse that UDO Alliance, quite frankly, had already had a lot of control over. Could have gone a different way if Meku maybe had found that second shot, but like you said, some great nades coming out from Cluck there on UDO Alliance. In the meantime, let's have a look at where some of these other teams are playing. MBE Sports up towards that northeast side. Not a huge amount of points found, but they're consistently in the game, right? And I think that's something that's great to see so far on that side.
Yeah, they've been making a lot of cameo appearances, you know, even in situations where it's just one or two elims and they stay alive. It feels that they're always popping up to be a little bit annoying, nip at teams' heels and try and farm the odd points here and there. This is one that feels like it's just a matter of, you know, the chase at the minute. Feels like you're being forced further and further back, and Rejects know they're being hunted on this one. Trying to play with at least some map geometry to give them cover, as NASA are definitely roaming quite far out and looking to gain a good understanding of where everyone is stationed, using the reconnaissance of Xenox here with the one vehicle as a bit of a scout, and then having a backup position to fall back towards. Freak's actually still alive as well, Blank. All right, yeah, so that's just the one man that remained. I mean, his entire team basically got picked to pieces instantly. So I suppose it's best case scenario, how far can he go, right? Because looking at a placement game with this one, it's pretty early. Going to be a while on the stopwatch before we come back to that point.
Yeah, I do think it definitely comes back to that case of Enigma Galaxy. A lot of their rotations getting read into towards the end of their group and not making too many adjustments off the back of that. Again, even in their group, there was a lot of feeder teams down towards the bottom as well, which just allowed them to make these rotations. And I think you try and do the same thing again here in the survival stage, where every single team is very willing to take shots and has great gun skill. Remember, these are the best teams in the world, all fighting out for a place in the grand finals to really display what their region, what their team has to offer to everyone that wants to watch. So I think that for Enigma Galaxy, again, it's just a case you can't just randomly rotate over heals. You need to have a bit of scouting going on. You need to ensure you know exactly where some of these teams might be playing, so you can angle yourself in such a way that you can cross and be out of the line of sight of some of these squads that might take shots towards you. If we see it again on that next match from Enigma Galaxy, where they make a random rotate like that and start losing players out the back of the vehicle, I would be fairly remiss to say that this is another team that's feeling like they're going to be in the bottom 8, because I don't sense an adjustment coming through tomorrow.
No, I don't know how you'd give the whole squad a facelift in such a short space of time, right? I don't really think there is enough adjustments that could be made to really change things around quick enough. That's the problem. It feels like we're already getting to that point where, you know, the fine line blank of squads that haven't already accumulated points, especially from Group Green, right? With how tomorrow is going to go, you're not even being there to make a case for yourself, just having to sit pretty and sit on your laurels of the points you've already accumulated. Definitely for a good majority of our squads now, we're seeing that they haven't been able to cut the mustard, haven't been able to really build enough points. But there's been a bit of a change positively for a few of them. At the minute, though, we'll see how things go right here, right now. We'll stick to the facts that we're being given. Again, Reject Tokyo look to try and get themselves a bit more center and try and set up early. Melissa are also on the move down, but most likely have to bypass their way through DX. Roadside setup from MBEs as well, as they've got contact. Inko taking damage from quite far away. The Mini 14 pounding the pressure out and buying them enough time to go back on the res. They've got the ridge as well, so you're covered from the road. They don't have to worry about getting tapped in their head just yet, so they can get Mondo back up. But what's the game plan here? How are they going to play this one?
Yeah, I think your difficulty comes in the fact that, you know, you're getting pushed in by the blue. It's stage 4. It will hurt. You sort of need to make a move soon, but Nasa's sort of unwilling to give up this position on the eastern side. They know how important this compound is to them over towards this eastern side of the circle. They don't just want to let a team get through for free. MBE Sports, on the other hand, decide that, look, we're going to take shots over towards Inko. Becker in the way, gets absolutely crunched, but lives off the back of that. Grazed by the vehicle, but not out yet. Becker continues to take shots and will finish it there and then. Broken leg regardless.
Man, okay. Big balls are fire as damage is done onto the vehicle, and he tries to stand his ground. Becker quick on the medic maneuvers, trying to get the heal in. Meanwhile, when Lease, they're being attacked. DX have crashed onto them, but DS, they've crashed more literally just straight into the faces there, hitting the shots one by one. Melissa expiring as they've been stung by the Scorpions, it seems, blank. Unable to defend from that one. DX can reset, pick clean the corpses on the floor now as well, and reset the utility they've got to work with, so they're going to be content. Meanwhile, back on the move, Xenox, he's been pretty damn quick with his scouting. He's been able to take some point man positions and look to get the damage out early. Again here, setting his focus towards the bridge. Wants to put pressure on Squash, who's solo, outside the play zone as well. So a single bullet he was hoping for, try and make that elimination his, doesn't go his way. Backs off with at least the read and tries to play with the rest of the team. Vitali, he's got a read on him. Trying to take a couple of shots off, but doesn't want to do this as a solo blank. Playing smart, knows he still has a team to work with, even if it just is the 3 of them.
Yeah, Blue's really being the big pressure point right now for Inko, because they've got to move further in, but they know as soon as they start to head over towards the top side of this lip, they're going to be in the angles of a lot of other teams that are inside the lobby. Freak here trying to hold his own up towards the Wizard Tower. You can see off towards his western side, you got Duxan as well, but Becker very happy to try and take this fight with an incredible incredible hold versus these other squads. Freak, though, takes down Vitali, looks for another, but won't get it and will fall himself. So Enigma Galaxy come away from this game with a 1 single point up to 6 now. So a 2-point average for Enigma Galaxy so far feels pretty horrible. Quest get way further into this game than they have any others, and that's saying something considering we still have 12 teams alive. We see Procedure Evos off towards that central arena alongside with Reject and N Hyper. This could be a great game here for Evos and starting to get some of that points potential on board.
You'd like to see him have a good game as well. The talent that's there on this roster at times, man, feels so powerful. When it's a good sort of mix-up for them as well, when they come in playing off each other's comms very nicely, it's very fun to watch. So having a center position, having firearms in their hands as well, we'll see if they can bring the heat, if they can command respect the longer this one goes on. FaZe back on the move as well, looking to set themselves up as the smokes will be cast out bit by bit. Redface looking like he wants to try and at least have info on this, get the eyes on the situation. The engagement here, though, is pretty easy to clean up versus what remained of Inco. One by one, they have been broken and bruised there. So the Brazilian side removed from the situation now as they'll go out again. That's unlucky in the end there. Inco, of course, fought hard to even make it here, Blank, and they are getting a little bit bullied. Similar sort of things have been happening to Alter Ego. Again, pressure applied on them. Fnatic from the side at least assists where possible, but he's got to scurry off, got to reset on this one now.
Yeah, it's good potential here for them to hold out DX Xavier, right? But at the moment, it's not looking too good. Holds on the spray from quite a while, but at least does find the shots over towards Lamborghini, laying him low. Outside the circle will delay them a lot, making this very uncomfortable for the squad of DX Xavier to make it in. Procedure Evos taking shots over towards FaZe, who are currently huddled up over towards a very, very small shack at the moment. The shots even coming through from Spec here on Nasa. But Procedure Evos currently sat at 28 points in 11th place. Is a team that definitely needs to put some more on the board here. I think for Procedure Evos, they have a lot of history on this team, right? And I think a lot of Indonesian fans would be very excited to see this team go through to the PMGC Grand Finals, specifically just to be able to see the twins there on the grand stage once again. But 28 points, that won't cut the bacon just yet. They need a little bit more on board, and with this very central position they currently hold on to, this is a fantastic game to rack up some big elimination points, to rack up themselves a good amount of placement points too. You know, this should be a second, third, first place game guaranteed.
It needs to be. It needs to come to fruition in that manner. Setting themselves up nicely on this one. So can they coax it out? Can they force a big point scorer from this one? And once